Times folks will ask me, Roy, can you give me some advice on working with young people, whether it's a parent or a teacher or a youth minister. And over the years, I think I've said a whole bunch of different things. Do this, do that, do this. But as I've reflected on my own experience of what really works with kids and what's really mine, the difference between context and content. By context, I mean the stuff of our life, for lack of a better word. You know, what do we do? What are our roles? What do we like? What kind of music do we listen to? What kind of clothes do we like to wear? What types of interests do we have? Are we techie? Do we prefer Facebook or Twitter? Do we prefer both? Are we anti-technology? All of those preferences, I guess, that we have in our life. We all have them. Everybody has them, including young people. What happens is when you've got some generational differences, those contexts get more polarized and they become more difficult to bridge. And that's unfortunate because at the end of the day, they don't really matter all that much. It's not really significant about whether or not the teenager I'm working with likes the Beatles and I don't like the Beatles. Isn't that weird? But that's true. It doesn't really matter whether or not they prefer to shop at the Gap or if I prefer to shop at Walmart for my clothes. Those things don't really matter. But we do need to be able to navigate them. And so I think my advice to them and what I do is I just express interest. You know, I may not like the Gap, but I like kids. And so I can express interest in a kid who likes the Gap, who likes Ozzy Osbourne, who doesn't like country music, and I can engage them in a conversation because it's not about me, it's about the young person. And once we can do that, we can get out of the context level of a conversation. We can go into the much deeper and much more important level of the content. And that's where we share a universality as humans and as Christians. And that bridges and transcends generational boundaries and transcends cultural boundaries. And those identity, those content questions, those content issues are things like fears, hopes, dreams, passions, longings, needs. Once I can have a conversation with the young people and we can find a lot of commonality on that content level. I can ask them, what do you hope that your life is going to be, and what type of legacy do you hope to leave with your life? What sort of contribution do you want to make to the world? And a lot of people I know underestimate and shortchange younger generations and think that they don't think about those things, but that's absolutely not true. The vast majority of kids that I've worked with have those types of dreams. They do want to make a difference. They do want to leave their mark on the world. And I do too. I have a lot of the same aspirations as young people do. I have dreams, I have hopes, aspirations. I want to make a difference. I want to help people. I want to contribute to the world. I also have fears and have idiosyncrasies and I have insecurities and I have neurosis, and they do too. So there's a lot of commonality on that content level or the being or the identity level. So again, just to recap, the difference between context and content. The context being the particulars of our life, our preferences, the peripheral type of stuff, and the content being the substance, the identity, the who we are. Context is the particulars of our life, and we don't always have that in common. So we need to build rapport in order to bridge that. But that doesn't need to take a long time before we get into the much more important place of content, identity, and substance, where we should be spending the majority of our time working with kids.